Hi, credit union friends, and welcome to the BD Now channel. Today, I'm excited to have two very special people with us. And if you are part of the BD Now community and have attended my summit last year in Bozeman, Montana, they will be familiar faces to you. Today, we're going to talk about financial education and really how people learn about money. That's really important. And also how financial education methods continue to evolve to actually drive behavior change and make a bigger impact. So I'd like to welcome Jeannine Daly with Balance and
Hi.
Kevin Cimring with Ovation Ventures. Jeannine, I know you guys well, and I know you're super passionate about financial well-being solutions for credit unions that credit unions use for their members on their journey to financial success. So welcome, Jeannine.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And Kevin, you're super passionate about financial wellness technology. So we're going to talk about that today as well. So Kevin, I'm happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thanks, Julie. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. I think maybe we should just start with how people have, really, how do they learn? There's different, I know I learn differently than others. So can we talk a little bit about just learning styles and what you know about that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about there's, theories of multiple intelligences in general, but also if you just think about yourself versus your spouse versus your kids versus your friends, and you sometimes feel like maybe you're banging your head against the wall saying, why are you getting this the way I'm getting this? It's because we all learn differently. Right? Some people learn by reading, some people learn by doing or a visual or some people like the nuts and bolts, like the math of a situation. Somebody else might like the why, the psychology behind it. And so to really make an impact when you're teaching anything, financial wellness or how to drive a car or how to change a light bulb, it's important to understand your audience's learning style so that you can actually have an impact as opposed to just, kind of getting the words out there. And I think historically we haven't, when I say we, I mean the entire financial wellness movement hasn't always done the best job of saying, hey, let's make sure we're touching people of all learning styles. I think there's a lot of movement toward that now, but in the old days where it's like, put an article on the website and we'll do a workshop and we'll call it good. No, there's a lot of ways to touch people, and there's a lot of ways that can be impactful to different kinds of people.
How would you say that knowing this and understanding that, and even questioning maybe, I know I have, is it making a difference? I've been in the industry for over 30 years now, and I've asked myself, like, we're doing all this education. Is it moving the needle? Is it helping people? Are they changing their behaviors? So how has this knowledge kind of led to a partnership between the two of you? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Kevin, did you want to talk
Yeah, I
about
can
this one?
jump in there. I think, so for some context, Julie, at Ovation, we're focused, as you mentioned, on the technology side of the house, but we're focused on really leveraging technology to help, credit unions, counseling organizations like Balance employers deliver what we call modern financial wellness programs that are more accessible, more engaging, and more actionable. And I think what Jeannine mentioned about having, different techniques, different form factors around learning really lends itself to actually making these programs more accessible and engaging and, actionable for people. From a partnership perspective, when we met Balance, we saw that they had this incredible array of resources, right? Podcasts, videos, webinars, you name it. And so we, were super excited about the opportunity to really bring that all together in a cohesive digital experience that really guides the user along a financial wellness journey. So I think that was the one aspect that really, piqued our interest and made it exciting for us. But the second really important piece is that Balance have this amazing service, right, which is the one-on-one human counseling, their coaching and counseling programs. And so when you add the human element to the mix, combined with the technology and all these great resources, you really kind of arrive at this place where there is a compelling financial wellness experience for users that really guide them along this actionable journey. So, super exciting for us to be part of that program.
Yeah, it sounds like a great partnership. Can you give me an example of like what would a situation be like where it would help me to an action?
When it comes to financial wellness, I think the challenge over the years has been that education is just one piece. It's a hugely important piece, but to drive positive outcomes, we really need education plus action, right? Education plus action leads to positive outcomes. Education on its own, as I say, not so much, but still a hugely important piece because it gives people the why. Why do I need to do something? That's the education. How do I do it and make my life easier to actually implement this knowledge is where some of the things that we're doing with Balance come into the equation. So to give you an example, we have a web-based program that we've rolled out with Balance, but we're also introducing a companion mobile app as well to the program. So, for better or for worse, we've all got smartphones. We use these smartphones 24/7. And so what we're able to do with this combined program of web and mobile is, when folks download the mobile piece, they can set up budgets, they can track goals, they can track their expenses down to the transaction level all the time. And they can get nudges and alerts that keep them on track. So by leveraging, whether it's web or mobile, that type of approach, we really bring financial wellness into the person's everyday life, into the user's everyday life. And so it really just becomes more a natural, process for them. It's right there on their phone. It's on the app. So that's just one of the ways I think that we're making it, really actionable and appealing to different ways of learning, as Jeannine said, and different form factors. Some folks actually like to sit with their desktop and go through things and figure things out. Others like the immediate gratification of that live kind of tracking on their mobile phone, which we cater to as well. So we've really tried to cover the broad spectrum, which I think does make it, again, more accessible, engaging for folks, and certainly actionable as well.
That's great because it spans, different demographic needs as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day. I mean, you made me think about it because of how we perceive money now. And she was going through the Starbucks line, and she only had her phone, and she was having this conversation. She's like, who carries credit cards? Who carries money anymore? And because it wasn't working, and she was a little bit panicked about it. So I think that, just that how people perceive even money is different. I feel like we all need the psychology of spending probably first before we do this, right?
So true. Yeah, so true. In fact, I mean, just as an anecdote, in one of our youth programs, we were educating, younger folks around this. It's like, just because money is invisible doesn't mean that it's endless, because if you've grown up in this new era of mobile apps and so forth, you don't have that tangible feel of, the notes and the coins. It doesn't exist for the most part anymore. So it's so true. Money is invisible, but it doesn't mean that it's endless.
Yeah, true. So Jeannine, who's joining us? Who's the kitty?
Thank you. That's Cyrus. That's my son's cat who's summer break. The cat's joining us. But I do think that the generational element of it is important. So we're talking because not just types of intelligence, it is also that generational perspective, socioeconomic perspective, language perspective, education perspective. Whoever you're approaching, whether you're an HR department at a SEG or you're a business development person on site to do an education, or you're a coach, a financial coach at Balance, or you're creating an app, being aware that, to really have the kind of outcome, not just an output of check the box, somebody went through this, but an outcome and an empathetic experience, we do have to know who that person is and how we can best communicate. And, we have in coaching, we have the luxury of asking and finding out. And sometimes an HR person will know, if they're dealing with a bunch of rocket scientists, they maybe want to push them toward calculators. If they're dealing with a bunch of therapists, maybe toward more of the psychology of money sort of thing. But when it's digital, like creating multiple paths, like Kevin talked about, that's where you can find those outcomes, because that's where people can find the path that works for them, that feels right for them.
That's true. So you mentioned HR and business development. So this is the BD Now channel. So how do you think, do you have any ideas for business development pros that are serving employer groups and how they can communicate this and approach human resources to get almost like better engagement, more channels to reach the employees to help them in this journey?
Absolutely. I mean, especially, I know from being at the summit last year that, a lot of the credit unions that you work with that are probably plugged into this are really committed to financial wellness, whether it's through us or through someone else or through their own thing. They've got a lot going on. But I think really pointing out to the HR contacts that they have on site, just pointing out this multiple intelligence, multiple generation perspective. And the HR people know it. They know that they're not talking to everybody in every role in the same way, or everybody in every generation in the same way, but helping them connect those dots to say, hey, look, we know if we come on site and do a lunch and learn, we're going to get X percentage of people, and that's wonderful. So let's do that. But what about these guys? Can we do something on your website to get these guys? And can we push this video out through email to get these guys? So whatever, so you do a little inventory of what you have, and then get with that HR person and see, what those needs look like, and then try to match those up so you can have as many touch points as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what we're really needing, especially with how many people are still working remote. I mean, I hear over and over and over, they go on site and do table days or sign-ups, and we just, we need to evolve. It's important for us to have different kinds of outreach methods, and really we're here to help everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think is like, we talked about actionable outcomes and like what's the goal? Like what are you guys thinking? Like where does this go from here?
Well,
Kevin, you want to talk about that?
yeah,
Look, you're kind of like live in the future.
Yeah, Kevin lives in, yeah. Kevin, you live in the future. Where are we going?
I think, kind of first principles for us, and we're a, mission-driven company as well. Although we focused on the technology side, it's really technology focusing much on financial wellness, and our kind of I guess objective around that is to create real impact at scale. And that's why we believe this partnership is such a great fit, because together we can reach so many more people, whether it's through credit union partners, whether it's through employer organizations, reaching out to their employees, having the ability to leverage technology for that reach. But then also, bring in the human element of counseling and empathy, and also accountability. Coaching is really interesting because I think on the one hand, it creates a kind of empathetic approach, the one-on-one human interaction, but it also creates accountability. And so technology can only take things so far. Technology has a broad reach. I think technology is super effective at making this part of a person's life, but then bringing in the counseling component as well, I think is what really makes this a compelling program and creates that, those actionable outcomes. And so I think together we can create some real impact at scale. And so, yeah, for me, that's what the future is all about.
I would agree with that. The human element isn't going anywhere, but it can't be the only thing. But it's really essential. It just can't be the only thing.
Yeah.
Well, my credit union heart is happy to see partnerships like this because, I know all of us want financial well-being for all, and it's a big task. I recently did some focus groups with some members, and we specifically focused on young families, and they were very specific about what they need, and they want financial education, they want financial help. But when I asked about the different ways that they wanted it, they want workshops, they want it on their phone. I mean, I heard so many different answers, and these were families from, starting out with one child up to six kids. Believe it or not, there's people having six children. Big old happy families, and so it's great that we're evolving and providing a lot of options out there for our membership across the country.
Absolutely.
We end on a social spotlight, and so my question to you, and Kevin, I'll start with you. Who do you follow online that inspires you?
Wow. Okay. 3 seconds to think about that. There's actually two folks, two people that I'm following right now. So one is Ron Shevlin. You know,
Yes.
can always rely on Ron for very direct information. He pulls no punches, which I like, and he's humorous as well. So I love him. And Ronaldo Hardy, who's the new CEO of Balance. Love following him. Was introduced to him obviously when he came on board as the new Balance CEO, and just find him to be really inspiring, super passionate about financial wellness.
Mhm.
So that would be
Yeah,
my other fast follow
yeah,
as well. Yeah.
yeah. The first time I saw him speak, I was like, wow, like it was really
Yeah,
powerful. Yeah,
absolutely.
really
Yep.
super. Yeah. Jeannine, what about you?
Well, it's funny that you said Ronaldo, Kevin, because I was going to say Kevin.
Thank you.
And also, I've been doing a lot of following of people who are working toward like education and connection among like the neurodiverse community. And there's a content creator called Guy Rivers who's really strong in that area that I've really been learning a lot from. So I would recommend Guy Rivers.
Thank you. Well, Jeannine, thank you for joining us. Kevin, thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time, everyone.